Nihal, are those your Ironman medals at the back?
Oh, yeah, mix of marathon plus
Okay,
Ironman.
nice.
Just a little bit of what is it, 70.3 or whatever they call it. So yeah.
Yeah, 70.3. So I'm not a full distance Ironman. I just
Okay.
like, yeah, specialized in
So you're
half
not,
marathon.
yeah, that means
It's
you're not
live now.
completely crazy.
Okay.
So I'm crazy about 70.3. I'm completely crazy about 70.3.
That's why half crazy doing half marathon. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Over to you,
Probably in
Nikhil.
coming years I'll go full crazy.
Nice.
Nihal, should we get started?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, I was just referring to
Sorry,
Nihar, I think.
Nihar, okay,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think Nihar or Prem, I think one of them are coordinating.
Yes, I think Kshitij was going to introduce
Yeah.
everyone, I think.
Yeah, so we will be starting.
Right.
Nihal, Kshitij, are we waiting for someone?
Yeah, I'm beginning now.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first panel discussion by Aavhan 2021 on pursuing national level sports beside undergraduate studies. The moderator for today will be Mr. Nikhil Punde, who is a director of Startup Sports Technology, which is a digital platform for youth sports. He is a national level badminton player. He's been the Ironman 70.3 Sydney and previously a mergers and acquisition consultant at KPMG in Washington, D.C. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Kshitij. So I think it's great to be here. Thanks the team at IIT Bombay and Aavhan for organizing this. I think we have a great set of panelists today. So let me start off with the introduction. So starting off with Siddharth. So Siddharth Deshmukh, he's been working in the business side of sports for almost, I think, 15 years now. Previously, a sort of a computer science graduate, has worked in the computer industry, software industry for a long time before moving back to India and starting his venture in the sports industry. He's the managing partner at Arimaya Ventures and also the founder of Sportsy, a digital content platform in the sports industry. Siddharth, great to have you here.
Thanks, guys.
Then we have Cyrush Poncha. He's a Dronacharya awardee, Secretary General at the Squash Rackets Federation of India, and a former national coach of Indian squash. Cyrus, great to have you here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And we have Nihal Baig, an alumni of IIT Bombay. He's a senior associate at MSCI Inc. He's a former aerospace engineer, given the best athlete of Inter IIT Sports Meet 2014. And he's a podium finisher Ironman 70.3 Goa, the first Ironman in India. And he's had a ton of achievements in the marathons and triathlon side of things. So Nihal, great to have you here.
Thanks, Nikhil.
Great. So again, a very interesting topic focused on the youth and the student athlete side of things. So I think let's kick it off with sort of a question for Siddharth, coming more from a sort of a business side of things. So Siddharth, you've been in a computer science background, worked in the management side of things. So what really motivated you to sort of move into the business side of sports? So for the audience, Siddharth used to previously manage MS Dhoni. He's been actively working in the athlete management and sponsorship side of things. He's been also actively working in the technology side of sports, supporting a lot of startups. So Siddharth, if you could just talk a bit about your shift towards sports business side and your journey so far.
Hey. Thanks, Nikhil, and great to be on this platform with Cyrus and Nihal. So it's what it is. At the end of the day, it's like the people in sports who are passionate about it. They're called crazy, and I'm one of those crazy guys, along with some people sitting here on the same platform. Right, we are crazy. And after having a nice consulting background for last 12, 13 years across US, UK, while I was actually training for my duathlons in US at Stanford campus, and that's where I actually saw the whole NCAA model and really got excited. And I said, okay, why can't we do something like this in India? And why can't we have a nice university sports in India? And that was the time when only IPL was live. So only commercialized was just at the start, 2011, 12 time frame. Then the time had it, and I said, this is the time for me to do something. And I took a plunge, came back to India, started my own company. And since people ask me what is the best thing happened to you when you followed your passion, I said my monthly package became my annual package. So that is what happened. That was that was 7 years back.
The cost of entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah, cost of entrepreneurship and cost of following your passion. But yeah, I think it's paid off. That's what I'm happy about it, and got to work with phenomenal people in sports industry. Because at the end of the day, one good thing about sports industry is everybody is a sports person. They are the sportsmanship is attitude. It is not something that it cannot be acquired. It is something you are born with or you live with. So that attitude is something that we are here to help each other. We make sure that somebody falls, we lift them up. Unless they're opponent in the game, but as soon as the game is over, we know what the thing is. Probably that doesn't apply exactly to Nihal while running his Ironmans, because they have to. It's individual sport, but yeah, it is what it is, right? That is what the whole industry is. I got to work with NBA on the world's first ever smart arena for Sacramento Kings. I worked with IPL from the inception. ISL, Kabaddi from inception. Very associated, fortunate to work with MS Dhoni, and as you said, used to work. I still do that, Nikhil. So it continues.
Wonderful.
I'm still with MS on the brand management side. At the same time, helping a lot of other athletes on the sustainability and how to make them into I'll not say celebrity, but at least a talent that people can invest into.
Right.
CSR is something very close to my heart. I work on the development. I have my own football club in Pune, where we work on a lot of CSR activity, development activity, free for girls and underprivileged kids and all those things. It's called Rising Pune. And coming from the sales background and consulting background, partnerships and sponsorship became very close to my heart. And that was where money was, to be very honest. And as long as there is money in the sports will grow. And sports cannot grow only on passion. You cannot win the war on an empty stomach. So it's as simple as that. So you have to get money into the sport, and the moment there's money into sport, the sport will grow. And that's what I love doing, and that's what I've been doing. And fortunate to be part of amazing thing, heading CEO, being a CEO of Khel now, having a South Asia head for Genius Sports, which is into betting and media rights, and Fanisco, which is a fan engagement platform. So yeah, that's a journey. And giving back to society at wherever possibility that I get, and also heading industry and industry connect for Symbiosis School of Sports Sciences. I founded the MBA Sports Management there in 2016. So I'm giving back to my alumni there as well. So yeah.
You've covered almost all facets of the sports business side of things, I think. And so I definitely want to come back to the NCAA model as well as the sponsorship side of things, because that's, as you said, it's a very strong component. So let's sort of circle back to that. So moving on to the other side of sports, which is more focused on the coaching and athlete side. So Cyrus, I have a question for you. So you started off your journey as a athlete at a youth level, the junior level. You were the youngest, I believe, national coach. At the age of 18, you started coaching. And so you've literally seen the industry evolve over the years. So in a country like India, where certain sports, especially cricket, are more dominant in nature, how have you seen squash evolve? And when I say squash, I'm talking about the industry, right? From your infrastructure to your athlete participation to the coaches. So if you can just talk a bit about that, I think it'll be very helpful for the audience.
Absolutely. So
Of course, when I started coaching even though when I was a junior. So I was 18 years old,
Right.
got into coaching, and never looked back from there. So of course, in fact, at that time, I would say that there were no coaches in India, and that's yes, we did have those who used to be at clubs, just helping out, but we had no coaches who had gone through a coaching curriculum and certified by either the Asian body or the world body. So I was the first in India to actually go through that. So I've seen it all from there. And what happened is the Squash Rackets Federation of India in the year 2000 created its own squash academy in Chennai. And that is the reason 2001 onwards, I have moved base from Mumbai to Chennai. So born and brought up in Mumbai until the age of 25, moved here. It's 20 years. This year will be my 20th year in Chennai. So that's been a massive shift for me. But that's where it's grown. So we had a national center, which is the Indian Squash Academy. What happened, the Secretary General then, Mr. N. Ramachandran, this was his brainchild, where we got 8 courts, including an all 4-sided glass court. In 2002, we then brought in a foreign coach, Major Manya, who became our consultant coach and stayed for 14 years in Chennai itself. And that's changed squash in India. So yes, we are not yet right up there in terms of cricket. I don't think anyone can compare ourselves to that. But I would say, 10 years ago, squash was more prominent than even a badminton. To me, badminton has only taken over after our girls won the Olympics or won medals at the Olympics, both in 2012 and then 2016. So in terms of infrastructure, we've got huge amount of squash courts, growing. Building facilities now have squash courts as well. Where we lack is public squash courts. So that's an area which is still something that we are desperately trying to have. But in terms of having a good organization, good streamline, a good solid federation, which I can proudly say, and being part of that, we are excellent in terms of running it and growing the sport. I think overall basic squash ecosystem has improved, and every year we are trying to do things differently and getting better day by day in terms of that. Players as well, we have a bunch of players. 2014 was the first, I would say, would be the golden year when we won medals at the Asian Games and Commonwealth Games. We won gold medals at both these major events. Unfortunately, we are not an Olympic sport. So Asian Games, Commonwealth Games is massive for us, and we won gold medals in both of them. So since then, things have got better.
That must have been like an inflection point. Yeah.
Numbers have got, we've increased numbers as yet, but we need more people like Sid to support us, because that's the area where we really are struggling.
Right. Understood. Wonderful. Thanks for that. Great. So now coming to the athlete side, and Nihal, you've been competing in various categories as an athlete and participating in marathons and triathlons. So I know you started off participating in these events, especially during your college. So since we have a lot of college students listening in and watching today, in fact, can you talk a bit about what motivated you? I watched one of your interviews with Unived, and I believe you mentioned that you've not sort of grown up really playing sports, but during college is when you really picked up interest in these sports, especially the athletic side. So if you could talk a bit about what got you started and sort of your journey so far in marathons and triathlons, that'll be helpful.
Sure. So hi everyone. So basically, running or any athletics event has always fascinated me. But I was never, during my childhood, I was never really good in it. I see my schoolmates, my classmates are doing really well. I mean, in terms of at that level, they were doing really well. They were doing much better than what I was doing. So I had always had that in mind that I probably need to push a bit more. But after like uh, but I then focused a bit more on my studies, 10th, and then uh, getting into IIT. So I did not focus on sports at all at that time. But when I got the chance, once I got into IIT, I was like, yeah, I have done a lot of study already, and then let's need to focus on other aspect of life. And as also it's also important to have a have an overall development rather than just sticking to one particular field. So I also realized when I got into IIT that there is one national there's NSO program that you can enroll into. It's a national sports organization program where you can pick one sport. Any student can pick one sport. Either that or you can pick a NCC program or a social service program. Since I've always been fascinated by athletics, I tried my hands at running. I first initially participated in a freshman cross country run where I realized that I had a bit of potential. So after realizing that, I just went to the athletics coach and asked him if I can join under him as can he coach me? So he was happy to take me under, and then that's how my journey started. And I always feel that I'm more of an individual guy rather than a team. I mean, I know I can do better in individual sports rather than team sports. I don't know. I've always been wired into doing such stuff. So somehow it got stuck with me, and once I got into the proper athletics training, I never looked back, and I've always enjoyed it throughout my. I can see that I have seen the success that I have got first within the campus, and then even across IITs. I've got the success, and I've seen my performance improved a lot over the years, and that's what has always been motivated me to continue it. And when when I was graduating, uh, I thought I won't. It is not right to just stop it after I graduate. I wanted to continue that, and I started initially college. I was doing a shorter distance, of course, but once I got into when got out, I tried my endurance even more, more like half marathons and full marathons, and then I slowly tried to challenge myself further, and I took up cycling and swimming as well. And I've always enjoyed that. Of course, I love running because I have been doing it for a longer time. But slowly, when I got into cycling and swimming, I loved those sports as well. And I now spend almost as equal time running as my. Probably, I actually, since cycling is a larger component in triathlon,
duration.
I spend more time. I spend more time cycling now, but I equally love both the sports right now, and I can see that I've been doing fairly well in both these aspects.
And I think that's a good point. And on that note, Nihal, also if you because you said you started off as a student, now you are a working professional, yet you are participating in such sort of intense activities like triathlons and marathons. So and Cyrus instead also talked a bit about the whole support system, the sponsorship. So along the same lines, can you talk about your support system, whether it's sponsors, whether it's support from parents, from family, from your whether it's your college, whether it's your corporate, right? Because that plays a very important role in the life of an athlete. So how has that been for you from college to now as a working professional?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like without support, there is for a sports which is as niche as triathlon or any running as such.
Yeah.
Because we know in India the cricket is of course the more popular sports, but getting to any other sports it's really difficult, and it is really important that you have as much support as possible. And I was lucky to get good amount of support from my family. My family has always backed me uh, in doing all this. They were there's always this thing, right? You can always they say there always a time when they fear that you might injure yourself, but they have been always been
Yeah.
they have this fear, but they don't show it in front of me. So they, in that way, they are, that gives me more, support. Apart from that, my in my corporate job, my manager has been really supportive. They do not overload me with any of the tasks. They understand that I have uh, I need to maintain a work training life balance, and they're totally on board with that. And whenever so my time in office is whenever I spend my time in office, I work, but they understand that out of my office, I have other things that I need to do. So they don't put on additional pressure on me or any additional tasks in that front, so that I have those spare time where I can
That's helpful.
train. And I was fortunate enough to have a lot of people in my peer and even in triathlon circle in the community. There's a big community in Pune, triathlon. It's called Recreational Triathletes, which has always been very helpful for me. They have helped me in both in terms of providing some assistance both in training guidance, as well as some assistance in terms of training equipment. Because as a triathlon has three sports, and it kind of for an individual person it gets quite expensive to spend on it.
Absolutely.
So I was lucky to have a lot of people who pitched in and had supported me to few of my equipments, and I'm glad that they trusted in me that I would grow up to eventually progress up to a professional. Let's hope so. I would grow up to become a professional triathlete. But yeah, so this support has been really crucial in my journey to triathlons. And now I have other brand supports as well. I have a couple of nutrition brand that sponsors me. I have a apparel brand, Castelli CEP, that also supports. That also support me. So and now I have.
It's good to see that. Correct. You're getting the support from brands, from corporates, from your family. Correct. Especially since this is, as you said, it's a sort of recreational sport, but soon sort of fast gaining professional sort of status, especially for the Indian athletes. Yeah. Great. Cyrus, coming back to you, right? Again, talking about performance of athletes at the youth level, at the highest level. You've seen, you've coached athletes probably starting at the grassroots and youth all the way up to, as you said, the Asian Games, right? So, can you talk a bit about typically some of the key ingredients? And since Nihal was mentioning about the whole support side of things, what does it take for some of these athletes to perform at the highest level and sort of to maintain that level of performance? Because I'm sure a lot of student athletes are listening in, they are exploring how they can probably make that their full-time career, right? So if you could talk a bit about the key ingredients to sort of perform at the highest level.
Okay, absolutely. Apart from your own self, which, of the dedication and discipline, there's no shortcuts to doing that yourself. But then overall, you need support. So you definitely need support in terms of wherever you're training, your training base, your coaches. At the youth level, parents play absolutely vital support, for everything, whether it's emotional support, whether it's financial support or more financial support as at that point in time, because as a child, you're not earning, so you have to rely on your parents to support you, to fund you. You need to travel for competition. There's no way that you could, get anywhere without being at some competitions to be able to assess yourself. And obviously, in the training phase as well, nothing is cheap today. You do need to spend a lot of money to, get whatever's the best in terms of training as well. So support is required, starting from home. So important in terms of your nutrition as well, and going all the way up to being able to participate. You need backing from your state associations, your federations, to help you, to support you to get go on and pursue sport professionally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would definitely want to come back to the whole nutrition and sports science side of things and sort of the injury management, because that's another scenario where a lot of the youth athletes, because of injuries, because of lack of support on various other areas of sports science, tend to drop out, right? So I definitely want to come back to that and have a sort of detailed discussion on that. Thanks. So Siddharth, coming back to you now, along the similar lines, talking about the whole support system, sponsorship. Now, coming from the business side of things, I know you actively work with a lot of national level as well as international level athletes. So typically, as an athlete, when you try to think about sponsorship, especially, what are some of the things that these brands look at? How is the ecosystem in India, especially talking about the state and national level athletes? We know for a fact that there's a lot of support out there for international athletes, especially those who end up winning the medals. But what about the feeder system? So what kind of support you see, especially among brands, among companies who do CSR to support that section of the pyramid?
I think it's a very bad situation, and it is not something that I'm proud of to be part of the sports industry, and I wish it improves. And I think Cyrus can echo what I'm saying here. And again, one of the issues for Cyrus is it's the sport that he is in is not Olympic sport, so the CSR applies to only Olympic sport. Development. So sports development comes. You can get funds for sports development, but as an athlete, individual athlete, or for the whole game development, then the CSR gets applied to specifically or mainly Olympic sport. That is what, like in cricket also, the cricket doesn't come under CSR, but the development of the kids and at a certain level, then the infrastructure, those things come under CSR. So the brands are looking at a couple of things when they're looking at sponsoring people. They are specifically looking at how much ever they say the CSR happens out of two things, either compulsion or emotion. Either way, it is good as long as you're getting the money. So if it is coming out of compulsion, we know it will be they're expecting something in return, which is like a subtle marketing and some benefits. And these brands are trying to mainly exploit what the athletes or the sports can give them. But their money is coming out of emotion, which is a very small percentage out of the whole thing. But at the same time, there you get to do a lot with the brand. Even the brand activation itself is better because the culture in the company is different. It usually is the top-down culture that we talk about. So what are they looking at? They are looking at athletes who are, it's not, you don't have to be a medal winner, but you need to have a never say die attitude. They need to show that they are going to be a better version of themselves every day. They are working on something. In the whole process, not only about how you play. In the current age of instant gratification, how active are you on social media as well? That adds to the brand's visibility because yes, Nihal may be the best of the 70.3 the athlete in India, but if he's not seen and heard, then there is a problem for him to raise funds. I'm just taking an example because he's right now one of my co-panelists. I'm sure he's getting other support, but I'm just taking a name. Or probably to Cyrus 25 years back, right? It is like, if not seen, not heard, we know what the situation is. And I work with few squash athletes myself, like Sachika, who is number 3 in India and had an amazing journey as a kid and then had injuries, but We know only, unfortunately, how many squash athletes that people from sports industry also know. Everybody knows Deepika, but unfortunately, she's called DK's wife. That is an unfortunate situation. She has her own identity, which is phenomenal. But yeah, that's the thing is we are end up comparing everything with cricket, and even the brands are comparing everything with cricket. So people have to understand, leave cricket aside. Nobody can overtake cricket. Nobody can touch cricket in India for next 50 years. You have to look at what is number 2, number 3, number 4 position. As Cyrus said some time back, squash was more prominent than badminton. But the way badminton had amazing journey with Saina Nehwal and PV Sindhu doing that, what they are doing. Then the table tennis getting the UTT development through UTT, what happened for table tennis, then the Commonwealth and the Asian that we have seen. Even the tennis we are struggling, but still, we have Ankita Raina and the other people like Bosleys of the world who are still doing a decent job and putting Kamran Thandi, they're putting ourselves on the map. Nagal had a best of the name playing against Federer, right? So, but they're one of a kind. Our athletic is phenomenal. We are not getting support for athletic unless the corporates are backing them. So JSW, Go Sport, Reliance, they are really doing Tata Foundation. Obviously, they are the one who started everything in India. They are phenomenal when it comes to CSR activity and supporting the athlete. But again, jo dikhta hai, wohi bikta hai. You need to be seen to be sold. Nobody's going to buy you if you're not seen. So people have to look at, the athlete have to look at, first thing, they have to dedicate almost 99% of the time towards the game. I don't believe in something called 200%. I believe in 100%. So how much you say I'll give my 200%? No, that's a myth. That's just a number that you're giving. It's like a sales guy who is achieving the target 200%, right? That is possible because your target is 1 million, you end up getting 2 million. But you have a peak performance, and I have Nikhil, who has been an athlete, who is a triathlete, like Ironman guy. Nihal is there, Cyrush is there. So you're working with athletes. So the whole athlete performance management, everything, there's a peak performance. So you are being a better version of yourself every day, but by giving 100%. You cannot break that threshold. So the athlete has to make sure that they are giving their at least 99.9% towards their game, which got them to where they are, but 0.01% towards their own personality. 0.01% at least towards their education and how they speak, how they conduct themselves. Are they setting the right example to the next generation? Are they being a brand ambassador to what they believe in? You don't need to be a CRM or the Raymond's, the best the man can get and all those things.
Absolutely.
But it's not about what you wear, how you conduct yourself, how you speak in public, what are PR categories. It doesn't need that. It's not required that you need to be fluent in English. But whatever you communicate, are you able to communicate in a good language, which is commanding at the same time, which is understood by other person? And don't be ashamed of any language.
Correct. And to your point, that also creates opportunities for other professionals, right, to come into the industry.
Exactly.
Athletes focus on and coaches focus on things that's most important to them. And we have the other professionals who take up and sort of take the industry to the next level. So on that note, and just to circle back to, you talked about NCAA and the whole ecosystem in US, right? So I just want to bring that perspective to our conversation as well. So when we look at NCAA, it's almost 500,000 athletes. They have 20,000 plus teams. The whole ecosystem, from managers to physios to so your scouts, everything is in place. So how do you contrast that? Obviously, we have a long way to go. It's not right to compare our current ecosystem with NCAA. But what are some of the things that you really feel we can learn in the short term to take from what we have from version 1.0 to 1.1, especially in the youth segment in India?
Honestly speaking, we have a long way to go for NCAA. Something like national games were planned towards that. The Khelo India is planned towards that. And as long as it goes in the right direction, I think we are good. It is right now at any given time, even if we talk about today, we have a dearth of 10,000 coaches, qualified coaches across multiple sports in India. We have one state who has adopted sports, that is Odisha. We have one city who has called a sports city called Bhubaneswar, which is inside Odisha. We have a place called Balewadi Stadium in Pune, which is vested. There are the whole Olympic village in Delhi is vested. The Commonwealth Village.
Right.
That's built for 2010 games. It is wasted. So I'm saying we have the infrastructure. If I'm sitting in Pune, the PCMC, the Pimpri-Chinchwad Municipal Corporation, has got highest number of sports infrastructure per capita in India.
Yeah.
How many people know it? Me sitting in Pune does not know it. So when we are talking
utilization
about NCAA,
is a challenge.
Utilization, the NCAA comes with utilization. NCAA model looks good. For that, university sports looks good. The college sports look good. Youth sport look good. But are we utilizing the facilities that we have? Are we giving the new education policy, the NEP which came last year, which was the outcome of Making India Play and the whole activity which me were part of, Nikhil. So those activities are very, very important, where the CBSE has adopted 40% weightage for sports, and now we're going to give sports is going to be part of the report card. I think, as I said, the dikta hai, wohi bikta hai. The moment it comes into the report card, the parents will start taking it seriously. And the last 1 year has really proved one thing, that having the right mindset and good fitness is the key to be healthy and to be survived, and whatever you want to call it, right? You don't know. So, and what helps you with that is sports and fitness.
With the whole Fit India movement that we are going
through.
Fit
India movement is so important. So I know I'm not aspect. Yeah. And I'm sure I'm not answering the exact question you asked me about NCAA, because I don't have an answer right now in India. We are just talking about the bits and pieces.
Absolutely.
About the whole thing.
And what you're saying is we see hotspots. Correct.
Yeah, but
some things are working and some things have to change.
Correct. And it has to, for it to work, as I said, the money has to come in.
Yeah.
The moment money comes in, see why Khelo India is good. Yes, I'm not talking about it is BJP pro thing or the political thing. I'm talking about Star Sport picked it up. That is the beauty. So when we talk about the somebody like Star Sports backing this, yes, I think it has a potential. Yes, they have their business idea, but they are doing it, and that is what we need. At the end of the day, there has to be money that has to come in. People have to see what it is. Till probably 2012 London Olympics, how many people actually knew the contingent of India going for Olympics? I'm sure that people, we always just knew that 1 or 2 people who get the medal, and then we say, oh, disappointment. Why can't be 1.3 billion people? Why can't they get medal? What are we doing for those people? And what is everybody doing for them? We don't even know the names of people who go there.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to sound very negative about it. I'm saying this opportunity here.
Yeah. And definitely,
and how many people of any generation can say that they have got a chance to be part of a sunrise industry? We are part of the sunrise industry, and we can grow with it, and we can actually make amazing careers out of it.
Correct. And I'm sure that's very heartening for all the students who are listening in terms of the various business opportunities also, I feel, in this segment. But just coming back to the coaching and sports science, Cyrus, I would like to come back to you, right? So as Sid also mentioned about there's a dearth in that segment. I know you have been actively working in the area of coach education. You've talked about importance of sports science. So could you just talk a bit about how do you see the coaching? And again, it can be squash specific, it can be in general, but what are some of the initiatives going on to really build that coaches and the sports science support staff, which is very essential to really support the athlete community?
Right. So at the Squash Federation, what we are looking at doing is we have under the World Squash Federation certification courses. So we have gone out, with our coaching community. We first have created more tutors who can conduct courses. So we've got Indian tutors who have been certified. In addition, we also do bring in World Squash tutors. So in terms of coach education, this is what we are, this is the way we are going forward. Once again, this started from 2002 when Major Manyam came to Chennai from Malaysia, and he started the coach education system. So from having, as I said, when I was, got into coaching, there was no certified coaches. Today, we've got a few hundred certified coaches. But of course, we need, that's nowhere close to what a country like ours needs. We need to have a lot more. We need to have a few thousand coaches, and then that's when you're going to start seeing more results. So, but yes, coach education is extremely important. Government of India also does support that to some extent, which is very good. And sports science, sports science has really taken off. There are many institutions now who are doing exceedingly well in sports science. So, for example, in Chennai, we have the Center of Sports Science, which comes under the Ramachandra University. They've got a world-class setup. But in Chennai itself, how many people are actually using that facility? Very few. So, like this, we need to do. There are so many across the country, and I believe a lot more coming out. Athletes need to take sports science, sports nutrition seriously. Everyone, yes, they will spend money to go train abroad or participate in events abroad, but they are not spending money to get their own bodies tested, to make sure they are fueling themselves with the correct nutrition. So these are the key areas which athletes need to do and realize the importance, because they don't see overnight success, but nothing happens overnight. They've got to realize that, and in a long period of time, it does make a difference.
Correct. And as you rightly mentioned, right, it has to be integrated with your training, right? Like nutrition, the mental conditioning, all that cannot be probably treated separately. It has to be part of your training. And that's something, and with the rise of high performance centers, as you said, Chennai, I think Gujarat has a few, Karnataka is coming up with a few, Maharashtra has a few. So that is definitely helping get technology, get these experts to the masses, but still I think we have a long way to go. And probably some of the initiatives of Khelo India promoting fitness at the school level. So that's probably, just would love to know your thoughts on that, especially at the school level. What kind of changes can be made? There's a lot of conversation going around integrating sports, as Sid was also talking about, right? So how can we sort of enhance that, the base at the grassroots level, with these right changes in terms of fitness, in terms of sports, and what changes are you seeing as you interact with parents, as you interact with schools, especially in that segment?
Right. So yes, some schools are supportive, but that's about it. Schools do not have enough infrastructure, sports infrastructure, and don't take sport as seriously as they should. That's generalized speaking, but that's the way it is. There would be a handful of schools, yes, who are investing a little bit more into sport, but that's few and far between, because schools actually need to invest in sport, invest in, having coaches or having infrastructure developed in their on their campuses, and that's when you will see children from the age of 6, 7, 8 actually getting into sport, being encouraged to take part in sporting events. That's what we really need.
Great, thanks. So Nihal, coming back to you, especially now talking about sports like marathons, triathlons, the participation is definitely on the rise. You've been actively involved in the ecosystem. So what are some of the things that you would like to see, especially at the college level and at the events level? So few of the things, like probably do you see room for more events? That way college level athletes get to participate, get to test themselves, get to compete and hone their skills. Similarly, any other areas or gaps that you see currently, typically in the marathons and the triathlon segment, which you feel will really encourage more student athletes to take up these sports?
What I've felt or realized that not a lot of people know, not a lot of college or even students know a lot about triathlons. They know about individual sports like the running, swimming, and cycling, and even they don't consider it as a major sports. So I can feel that it is. I can see that the both marathon circle or triathlon circle is growing in the middle age or in adults, but
Correct.
Students need to be first initially informed about those. They need to start getting students, probably student specific races. There are very few races that happens in India, and also most of them are again focused on endurance. But at that age, initially when you're trying to pick up a sport, it is important that we also need to keep that as a target. So for that, we need to start initially with a shorter distance event. I know because of the whole endurance thing, or challenging yourself. A lot of people are getting to endurance, but to get people get a more competitive level athletes in India, for especially in this individual, we need to root this into the whole school and college system, and we need to start with the shorter distance first. Even in IIT Bombay, when I was there, we used to conduct a small triathlon, but again, it was more of a form. It was not a proper competition. It was more of a recreational one. We need to recreation is important, but also need to treat this sport as a serious. So as long as we start the distinction, even in school and colleges, we need to make that distinction that of course we have a recreational part of the sports, but we also need to motivate people to get into the serious, more performance oriented aspect of the sports as well. This is also true with schools, right? Like Cyrus mentioned, a lot of people, there are schools who are even are encouraging students to take up sports, but again, it is again at a recreational level. They don't force, not push people to actually pursue it at a serious level. So
correct.
So that's what I
Okay. No. So I know the questions have started to come in from the listeners. So I think I have one last question for all the panelists, and then we'll open it up to all the viewers, right? So just to, and probably you can quickly answer the couple of points that come to your mind. But essentially, over the next couple of years, right, what changes, what enhancements that you would really like to see in the current sporting industry? It could be marathons, triathlons, it could be squash. From SID standpoint, it could be the whole sponsorship side of things. But what couple of changes do you really see that will help build our the youth and the student athlete community? Because I guess that's really some of the questions probably students are also thinking, that what will it take for me to really choose this as a career versus IT, consulting, banking, which is currently the immediate career choice for a lot of the student athletes. So what changes that you would like to see for really to support that youth ecosystem that we have? Any of you can start, but just a common question for all of you.
So I'll just take a stab at it. The youth ecosystem is phenomenal. We are the youngest country in the world. Around 800 million people under the age of 35 in India. That is 65% of the population under 35. And we have 300 million kids under the age of 18. That means imagine what kind of power that we have and how much ammunition that we have to win the war. But we have to look at the small battles to win the war. Are we giving enough time to these kids on the ground? Are they playing enough? That is one of the most important thing, and is the basic thing that to start with. Compared to the Western world, where the kid is playing around 14 hours, average 14 hours a week, the Indian kid is playing for 40 minutes a week. So we have a big, and these are stats. These are I know, Cyrus, you are shocked with that, but yeah, I saw the expression, but that's a fact. And these are the numbers which are presented in UN under the Sustainable Development Goal. And one of the reason for NEP to become this, that at least the 300 million kids to play 1 hour every day. That means at least we reached for 7 hours a week. That is the intention of the whole policy. But that is where we need to start. We need to make them enable to play any game that they want. Don't push them. That don't make them next Sachin, or don't make them next Saina or next Sania. Make them what they can be. Give exposure to them. I think it's a more learning for the parents than the kids. And I speak about it most of the time. I have my own channel called Sportsy. Sportsy says on YouTube. I have conducted the first season with almost 50 different episodes with athletes and leaders in the sports industry. I'll be having my season 2 starting soon. Everywhere I have asked this question: what is one thing that you want to change? It's one of the favorite lines that across 50 interviews has come out from Sharat Kamal, the greatest paddler that we have, is right. Parents are ready to wait for 18 years for their kid to become an engineer, but they are not ready to wait for even 6 months for their to become a good in his own training of sports.
Nicely said.
So I think it's a game of patience. It is what it is. There is an opportunity coming up. The world is, the Indian economy is opening up for the athlete to make career as sports. There are multiple opportunities which are possible. So first thing is, let kids be kids. Let them focus on being out, playing sport that the way they want. Start focusing. The coaches need to start looking at more than the physical education it did. And I think after 10, 11, 12, you start looking at that participative sport converting into some specialized sport, and from there you go to elite sport. So I think that's a method that you have to look at. Some of the models which are like Reliance Young Champ has it, or Reliance or JSW is looking at the young kids. So I think catch them young, watch them grow is what we've been talking about for years together. But I think this is what it is. Give them a space to play. Let the PT teacher not be not PT class should not be a filler for maths to complete the homework, and science to complete the homework. The PE teacher should get the respect that they need. At the same time, PE teachers should enhance their knowledge. They can't be going with 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of thing. They have to enhance their knowledge to make sure that they're talking about what are the muscles, how do you develop, how do you go at their different level. You can't be treating a eighth grader with the second grader at the same level. Those people have to. So the coach ecosystem has to improve. I think the coaches is something that people like Cyrus can look at, like coach the coaches. How do we look at the coaches, right? And get that ecosystem. There's employment opportunity to be created. So the one change I want is the mindset. One change I want is to let kids be kids and let them play, and parents to understand खेलोगे कूदोगे तो really होगे लाजवाब.
Nawab. Okay, great. Thanks, Sid. What do you feel, Cyrus?
Oh, that's fabulous. You know, the things he said, I absolutely agree with everything. But it starts in school, it starts at home. So both in terms of school education, school boards, which come Government of India, state governments, they all need to start supporting sport, getting sport part of your curriculum. We will hopefully then see a change.
Wonderful. How about you, Nihal?
Yeah, I agree with Sid and what Cyrus said. Adding to that, when I realized when I got into IIT, because there was a program, I picked up the sports. So we need to have a similar kind of a curriculum for at a very early stage. I don't have to wait up to 18 years to realize that I'm good at our sports. And you can start it from very early and make people get kids involved in a lot of sports. Let them try out a different sports, and then they'll realize that what they need to pick. So that curriculum change has to be done at the very beginning, and I think that's what Sid was saying about that mindset change that we need, not just from parents or students, but from the government itself, or from the entire the student body, or the curriculum we have around us. So when we make that change, probably we'll see a lot of people getting international medals very soon.
Absolutely. So all. I think the summary being all there's no short-term solution. It's sort of a long-term investment we have to make, right from school level to your college level, all the way up to the elite level, right? With various stakeholders.
Right.
So I'll quickly. I know we have probably just a couple of minutes remaining, so let me look at some of the questions and sort of pass it on to the panelists, right? So I think one of the common questions I see that. How do you typically manage sports with academics, and it can be extrapolated to how do you manage sports with your corporate work? So I know, Nihal, you've talked a bit about it, but if you can just quickly address that, because that seems to be a popular question coming from students.
So it's all about managing. Of course, you need to set your priorities. What do you want to do it in your life? So first thing is that. Secondly, I always felt actually more energized when I'm done with my workout and I get into my job, or even when I was in college when I had to go to classes and or study for my exam. I actually feel energized when I am done with my workout. Also, it gives you, so whenever you're done with your workout, you get a dopamine high, and you're high at that time. So you should be in that zone to actually keep that energy level up and continue that. Sometimes of course you feel a bit of fatigue when you're fatigued and you feel tired, but as you grow consistent in that, that will go away. And because you have a priority that this is what I'm going to go do and I need to follow that. And so eventually you'll not be bothered about that thought that I'm getting tired or fatigue. It will go away, both with consistency and also changing your mindset in that fashion.
Great. Sid, a question for you. Can sports be thought of as a career option ahead? You've been actively working in the sports education, guiding a lot of sports management professionals. So if you could quickly address this.
Absolutely.
What could be some of the career options apart from being an athlete?
Correct. So it is like, as I said earlier, right? It is in 80s, somebody asked, is IT a good career? It absolutely. In 2000, people said banking, absolutely. Telecom, absolutely. So sports is a time. Grow with it. Don't expect any high-end money to be there your way right now, but just spend a couple of more 2 years, 3 years in the sport that you love and the thing that you enjoy. The money will be exponential. The growth will be exponential. Some of the careers which are normally growing well is analytics, then business development, because the sports is in constant need of money. So how much money that you can raise for sports, I think that is something required. So sales, business development, sponsorship is always there. Event management is picking up, but yes, with COVID, the whole event management industry was completely doomed. So it will come back. I think the IPL happening in India will be a good sign startup. It may happen behind the closed door, but at least it will start. But if I have to talk about something that can be done is sports analytics, sports technology, business development, build on your own career to do that. Athlete management is something that cannot happen immediately for anybody to make the career out of it. You need, because there's a maturity level that is required for you to understand what athlete needs and where you go. Actually, you have to spend some few years to become an athlete manager. You can't become overnight. At the same time, if you are in sports, be technical about it. I think the coaching is something really good. And to make money, you don't need to be in the cities. Believe me, guys, you can be your own hometowns. Open a turf, open an academy, you will end up making more money than what you can make in sitting in the city, living in the cities. And at the same time, it will be phenomenal, sense of achievement, because you are actually contributing to the place where you belong, and it is making a difference. When you see that one kid playing at the state level or national level from your own academy, I think वो बोलता है सीना चौड़ा हो जाता है. That is what the feeling is, and that's only sports can give you that. So don't focus on coming to Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore and try to make a career out of it. Yes, if you get something, well and good, but go to the tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities. There's phenomenal work to be done. The standard of living is low, the expenses are less, but you can make a lot of impact and the growth will be great for you. So as I said, again, coming back to same word, absolutely amazing place to be in sports industry, sports management, sports technology, event, anything that you pick and choose. Make sure you give your heart and soul to it, because you are here not because somebody else is asking you to be here like an engineer. You are here because you want to be here.
Well said. Thanks, Sid. I know you need to drop off at 6,
Yeah,
Sid. So in case you have, I think you have a call. So that's fine. We're just going to take one more question and have the closing remarks.
yes. I'll just
Thanks,
hang on
Sid.
for the last question. Yeah.
Sure. And so, Cyrus, this one is for you. So one question was that what are the opportunities for athletes, especially after the age of 30? So, and I think that's becoming a sort of a very increasingly important topic, that post your prime time in the sports industry as an athlete, what do you do after? So if you could just shed some light there.
I think Sid covered it all, from, getting into coaching. Of course, it's not there for everybody, but on the administrative side, on technology side, it's huge, the scope, when you ask that question, in my mind, the answer was absolutely, and Sid said that, so there's so much of scope, you know, you got the passion, you got to do it. And, I keep saying that I play sport for a living, and that's something which, once you do that, you just continue. And there are really so many avenues. So once you finish your sporting career, if your heart is in it, stay with the sport itself. It will give you immense joy. I love going to office in my shorts, and that's the greatest thing. So
the perks of working in the sports industry, right?
Yes. That has happened to everybody across every industry. You have to wear a shirt. You don't know what you're wearing down.
and a hoodie maybe.
So anyways, thank you guys. I'll just drop out. So I'll catch up with you guys soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Sid. Thanks, Cyrus. Thanks a lot, Nihal. Thank you. I think we've covered some really good content. Hopefully, all the students, all the viewers got to take away something with them. Again, I would echo to what all of the panelists said, that I think in addition to opportunities in the athlete side of things, the startup ecosystem in India is also really evolving. And as we talked about, there are a lot of gaps, whether it's in the school segment, whether it's in the college side of things, elite side of things, whether it's technology, sports science. So also, I think keep your eyes and ears open as students in terms of entrepreneurship opportunities, what you can do in terms of developing content, trying to get the word out for athletes, raising money, right? So I think there's a ton of good work already happening, but even from where I come from a sports startup background, I see a ton of opportunities for engineers to really take it up as a challenge, right? And use technology and various solutions to solve it. So hopefully all of you are motivated from today's discussion and really think of sports as a career. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks, Nihal, Prem, and all the team that has organized this. Thanks for bringing us all together to discuss such an important topic. Thank you.
Yes, thank you,
Thank
Prem.
you, sir,
Thank you,
for
Nihal.
coming and for this wonderful